start, and hopefully others will join us later. Hi, I'm Shane Sutherland. I'm your board chair. Just want to welcome everyone here to our meeting. This will be hopefully our last virtual only meeting. After this, we'll do a hybrid of both, which I'm happy to go to that form, but we'll play it by, safety will be the first priority. If COVID roars its head, we will go back to remote only. Let's see. Before we get going with the Denver police update, I want to talk a little bit about process. I wasn't here for this last meeting, but I did when I came back. I reviewed the meeting, and I thought the conversation that happened in the board meeting over the greater part, the Park Hill Golf Course, was a good conversation. But I wish that conversation would have happened during the community meeting, not the board meeting. I think we do a disservice to not bring those things up during the community meeting so the community can weigh in. A subject as broad and as big as the Park Hill Golf Course, if you don't think we're covering it, and this is to any board member, send me an email, send me a text. I will see what I can do to get it on there. But last minute things like this kind of aren't fair to people that aren't there to present their thing. So I ask you, if you must bring it up during the community meeting, not the board portion of the meeting. So, because many of the community members that attend these meetings drop off when we go to the board meeting. They're welcome to stay, but most of them drop off. That's just the thing. So I really appreciate it if in the future you bring that up during the community meeting section of the board meeting. Now, going on, I wanted to also mention about the Park Hill Golf Course. Me and Lana are working on trying to set up a special meeting for that. And Robin Knish, Councilwoman Robin Knish, has volunteered to come and explain and answer some of our questions on community benefits, the CBAs, community benefit agreements. She said she used to do these before she actually was elected to city council, and she is going to come. I'm also going to invite West Side, and I also invite SOS once we have this meeting. We haven't got a date nailed down yet. I will let you know as soon as we do. It will be a special meeting so we can spend all the time on CBAs being the primary cause of it, but of course the Park Hill Golf Course will be part of it too. And with that, my little spiel at the start of this is done. I'm gonna hand the floor over to Denver Police. Officer Murray, are you here?
Yes, I am. This is going to be a short, maybe 15 seconds. I really don't have any new updates. Only thing I wanted to put out there, we're going to be doing a community event on the 17th of May in the 8200 block of East Colfax, where we're going to be offering services to help underprivileged people get IDs and anything that the Denver health community offers. So there's going to be starting at like 10 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's all I have for today.
Are there any questions for Officer Murray?
Can you share the date again?
The 17th of this month.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't see any hands up. Do you, Lana?
I do not.
All right. Well, thank you, Officer Murray. That was short and sweet, but I will move on. Talana is next, going to give us our community updates.
Sure, thanks. Okay, we went over a lot of this stuff last month, but we're getting closer and closer to our events. So first up later this month, Saturday, May 21st from 8 to noon is the Park Hill Community Yard Sale. You still have time to register your house if you want to have a sale and you would like your sale added to the official map. Just go to our website under the events tab and annual events and the yard sale. and register. I think you can register through the 17th. So you still have a little bit of time. And if you just want to shop, there's a map there for you. So you can kind of plan your route. The map indicates what sort of things people are selling as well. So if you're looking for something in particular, say a bike or some speakers or something, you can kind of browse and see maybe where you'd like to hit first. That same day, we're doing our garden in a box giveaway at the office from 9 to 11 in the morning. This is for novice and or low income gardeners or anyone who just needs a little boost, a little help getting a vegetable garden started. We have a few spots left. So if you know someone or you are someone who could use a little bit of assistance, again, jump on our website under food programs and garden in a box. You can register. You can always call the office if that's easier for you, and Ruth can help you get signed up as well. Next month, the Park Hill Garden Walk is taking place on June 12th, and tickets went on sale on May 1st. So those are available now online. They're also available in 4 or 5 retail outlets throughout the neighborhood. So if you visit parkhillgardenwalk.org, you can get all of the details, including the addresses of what the featured homes are going to be, list of artists that will be present in the gardens, and so forth. So if you've been, you know how wonderful this event is. If you haven't, I urge you to attend. It's an important fundraiser for us. It helps us continue to do our work, but it's also a really lovely, wonderful community event. After that will be the 4th of July parade. And again, they're registering participants currently. So if you'd like to participate in the parade and march in the parade, in any way, shape, or form, anyone's welcome. You guys, if you just want to gather some people together on your block and throw some streamers on a truck and go for it, you can do that. It doesn't have to be anything grand. So you can go to parkhillparade.com and register to participate. Food pantry, of course, is still operating. Similar current needs to what we had last month and every month. Again, you can always check our website for the complete list of what we accept and also our most needed list. You're always welcome to call the office or reach out to me directly if you're heading out shopping and you want to know what we need. Just a quick city notice that we received yesterday about Denver Moves Everyone. They are having, I think this is not the first public meeting, but they're having a public meeting on May 17th from 5 to 6:30. So if you go to denvermoveseveryone.com, you can learn more about this effort, this project, and get the details on how to register and join the meeting. And as Shane mentioned, this is, knock on wood, going to be our last and final entirely virtual community meeting, which we've been doing now for 2 years. So cross your fingers for me. I think I have the hybrid situation figured out. I guess we'll find out. But in theory, you'll be able to come to the office to 2823 Fairfax and sit in the community room if you want to. You'll still have the option to join us through Zoom. And you'll be able to participate in the meeting either way. And it'll be a little bit of a learning curve, no doubt, for us all, but I'm really excited that we'll be able to offer this. I think it's going to allow us the maximum amount of participation, and hopefully you will all join us next month, and be kind if we have technical difficulties. I think we'll be good though. That's all I've got. If you don't already get our monthly emails, you can join our list on our website. We send out this meeting agenda every month and information on how to join the meeting. That'll be extra important starting next month because we are going to be doing it a little bit differently. So if you're curious, make sure you're on our contact list. We'll make sure you have all the details about how to join the meetings starting next month. Of course, follow us on Facebook if you want other great little tidbits about things going on in the neighborhood. And that is all I've got.
Jackie has her hand up.
Yeah, I see Jackie's hand up.
Jackie?
Jackie, you're muted. Oh,
Okay.
there you go.
Yeah, just have to say you want me to talk. Yeah, my hand up. Okay, yeah. I wondered, just because I wander mind, we've got the alley cleanups for June coming up, and once again, those are not listed, and I'm not quite sure why that's not happening.
I don't think I know about those, Jackie.
Okay, so I've sent information. John and I sent it's in the newspaper, and we sent stuff to it. So I'm not sure what that process is. So maybe Lana, just have overlooked something that I need to send that to you. But I will send you something, and then if you could definitely make a push out on it, because it is going to be, we have 2 dates, and they align with a large trash pickup in the beginning of June and the middle of June, which is kind of cool. But anyway, they're going to be June 4th and June, what is that, 20th? 18th, yeah, add 14 to that, yeah, June 4th and June 18th are those weekends, okay, and so there's a whole thing in it on page 8 on the newspaper, but I'll put something together for you, and if you wouldn't mind just shooting that out to folks. Yeah, and I apologize because I just think it's like, I don't know, I just thought that you'd hear from it from the newspaper. Sorry about
No
that.
worries. Yeah,
Oh.
sometimes we're really good at sharing information back and forth, and sometimes things fall through the cracks. So if you wouldn't mind shooting me an email, I'll make sure we get it into our e-blast that goes out later this month and onto our Facebook page as well.
Perfect.
Thanks, Jackie.
I don't see any more hands. So let me introduce our next speaker. He's Kevin Marchman. He is the current president of the Northeast Park Hill Coalition. I briefly introduced myself to the Northeast Park Hill Coalition last month, and I reciprocated and gave him the opportunity to come here and introduce himself and spend about a few minutes talking to us. And Kevin, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Shane, and good evening, everyone. As Shane has said, my name is Kevin Marchman. I'm the president of the Northeast Park Hill Coalition, elected last December. We have a board and we are working on a number of things. I have to say, some of what I've heard already in the first 15 minutes sounds somewhat like our board meetings. They are the second Thursday of the month. Next week, we would have another one, starts at 6. We have had hybrid meetings the last 2, and they have been interesting. When you get the sound and the video, you know how all that goes, but we're getting used to that. We're looking forward to continuing those. As I said, our next meeting is next week, and we'll be at the Zion Center in Park Hill, and that will be interesting. I think we, as a board, and I think I have a board member or 2 on this call, like to move them around in different locations. Some of our members are elderly, and they have difficulties, particularly in bad weather, of getting places. So we try to get to them, and we hopefully will continue to do that. Basically, the organization is about services and information. And as a new board, we are tackling starting redesigning our web pages, our communications, and I think some of you will probably even get in the next, if you don't have it already, what our agenda looks like next week. Just talking about myself, I've been in and out of Park Hill, I think 3 or 4 different residences for over now 30 years, and in and out of the state since the late 50s. So that'll tell you, I know something about Park Hill, still learning, and something about Colorado, and still learning that. Let's see, things that we talk about at our board meetings, and we have 2 developments that we are following. One at 38th and Alvin, and a larger development roughly at 38th and Holly from Del West. It is a challenge for a small board, so we're always looking for volunteers, and some of what while I'm here, if you would like to volunteer, I'm going to send Shane all of our information in terms if you want to contact us. Good thing is the membership is free, but we are always looking for your hours and volunteer time. I think that is it. I did hear mention about the CBAs. We talk about that in our executive sessions. And of course, I know the Park Hill Golf Course is a huge issue. And we're looking at how to handle that. Besides that, it is, I'm pleased to be the president. It is pretty cool. And I think Shane and I agree, we would like to have a closer relationship with your group. There are things that you have that you could teach us. I saw the donations with respect to food. Some of our residents of some of our developments are always food weary, I will call it. But mostly just a relationship with this group. I think that exhausts my time and my notes. Let me just look at this again. And that's what we have. So I can answer questions if Shane allows that. I know you have a tight schedule, but as I said, I will send him information how to get a hold of us as we are redeveloping our communications and our, as I said, websites, Instagram, all that sort of stuff. And again, I'm pleased to be here, pleased to see some faces I know. Over the years, I have worked with members of this group when I was in the mayor's office, and learned a lot from some of the people who have preceded you guys. And I think that is it. I can answer some questions, but I'm looking forward to meeting you in person in June. But as Shane said, he introduced himself and your organization at our last meeting, and that's what I'm doing now.
Thank you, Kevin. And I do share that I would like our two organizations to work closer together. I think that's an important part of, our neighborhood and getting together and, working together for the betterment of everyone in our neighborhood.
I agree.
I don't think I see any questions. Do you, Lana? There was one question. Ken, you got your question answered about the meeting, correct?
Yes, second Thursday of every month, starting at 6. As I said, the next Thursday's meeting is at the Zion Center. We always have a spot at the Hiawatha Davis Recreation Center. That I said, we'd like to move it around. And although some of the challenges of doing hybrid meetings are very interesting, as Shane know, we pulled ours off like 18 minutes late last month, but it was well worth it. And particularly having seniors, I think we were at Dahlia Square, having seniors in the room asking questions of our presenters and the board of the coalition. So it is well worth it.
There is one question from Shanta Harrison.
Sure.
Hi,
Shanta?
hi, Kevin.
Hi.
Hi. Just real quick, you may have mentioned it. Will there still be a Zoom option for next week's meeting, or is it strictly in person?
No, it's Zoom option.
Okay.
You can show up and be at the Zion Center, which has a wonderful history.
Yes, I actually
service.
live right up the street from the Zion Center. So.
Yeah. And having worked with particularly Liggins Towers and the Stovall Care Center
Mhm.
many years ago, it's a really nice place to visit. Yeah.
Oh, it'll be perfect. So that's
Yeah.
great. That's a great location.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Well, thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you for asking.
Mhm.
Thank you, Kevin, for attending. I really appreciate it. I'm going to move on.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you all.
Thanks, Kevin. I am going to move on to our next thing, and our next item, and that is rezoning of 4050 North Colorado Boulevard. Will Wagenlander, did I say that right?
Yes, sir, you did.
Oh, all right. I got one right for a change. Woo-hoo. The floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Members of the board and members of the community, thanks for the opportunity to present today on behalf of the Urban Land Conservancy. I'm going to start a PowerPoint here in just a second and kind of talk to you guys and then answer some questions about what the Urban Land Conservancy would like to do near the 40th and Colorado Transit Station. So just a second, please. Uh-oh. Switch my screens here. Apologies. I appear to have too many screens open. If you'll bear with me for just a second. Screen 2. Okay, can you guys see that now? Awesome, thank you very much. So Artway North is located pretty much at 40th and Colorado, just north of the existing Del West development in the inline retail that's currently on Colorado Boulevard. Right here, it's right in red is the site that we're talking about. This is in Northeast Denver, obviously, and within the Northeast Park Hill neighborhood. It's adjacent to a key transportation node at 40th and Colorado, commuter rail station. It's envisioned to be kind of an end place for the 303 Artway that the ULC and some community partners are working on right now. And that's a cultural trail that will go through Northeast Park Hill and facilitate access to the transit station. And ULC really feels that this is an opportunity to address affordable housing while also providing future residents with mobility and transportation choices, as well as access to important community services. And want to talk about who the Urban Land Conservancy is. They preserve, develop, and are stewards of permanently affordable real estate to positively affect the impacts of the people and communities in Colorado. And their vision is to serve underserved populations and those at risk of displacement. So within that vision and that mission, it's to provide affordable housing, access to good schools, job training, childcare, and then office space and incubator spaces for nonprofits. And as part of that, there's 5 main components, and that's equity, inclusion, community, permanence, and then environmental responsibility. The ULC is not new to Northeast Denver and Park Hill. They've worked on a number of projects as partners and developers in the area, including the Renaissance Apartments, the Curtis Park Nonprofit Center, the Lavina Apartments, the aforementioned 303 Artway, Park Hill Station Apartments, which is just south of the site that we're discussing today, and then also developments at Holly Square and Dahlia. So just a little sampling of some of the developments that the Urban Land Conservancy has worked on in the area. And what we're talking about today really is the Artway North parcel, which you guys can see here is adjacent to the East Line rail line, Colorado Boulevard, inline retail, the Del West affordable currently and already built affordable housing, and then Park Hill Village, which is just across Albion Street there. And what we're asking to do through the city and what we're embarking on is a rezoning process to rezone from Denver's former Chapter 59 zoning code to CMX8, which is the new zoning code, which would allow for 8 stories of development. Right now, the Urban Land Conservancy is looking at 5 to 8 stories in height, probably located close to the transit station and Colorado Boulevard. And that would include 1, 2, and 3 bedroom affordable units on the upper floors, and then on the active ground floors, childcare as well as incubator spaces for businesses. Also, as part of this, and as folks know, is providing open space programmed for families and children in the area. That's a real important consideration as part of the mix. And we want to make sure that because we have a lot of families living in these developments, that there's places for kids to recreate, safe places for them to recreate, and amenities for them. The site is really optimal for affordable and attainable housing because it provides some safe and convenient connections to the 48th and Colorado Station, providing that mobility choice. It is also adjacent to Colorado Boulevard and possible high capacity transit improvements that could occur along that area in the future. And as you know, transportation is a huge cost for everybody, especially for the families that will be living here in the future. And this is a way to minimize those costs and provide them with a better standard of living and a better quality of life. And as important to this is to understand that this isn't a development that's floating in the ether, but rather that we know it's adjacent to the station. So a major focus of this effort will be developing an open space area that connects from the southeast of the parcel to the northwest of the parcel to facilitate access to the transit station. And you know, it's not just providing that space, but creating an active space that is safe and comfortable for the larger community to travel to reach that transportation amenity. And that's all I have for today. And I can open up the floor to questions.
How do you define affordable?
So Anna Cohen, or excuse me, Anna Mercurio from ULC is on right now. These will be a permanently affordable 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units, as I understand it. And
Yeah, we have not identified the exact income mix at this site yet. So we're still pretty far off from nailing all that down. But it will be a mixed income. And I see Monica's question in there too. Both. We would like to have rental and for sale opportunities at this location.
But all
Amy, I
affordable,
see-
not on the market rate.
It'll probably be a mixed income site. So there will be.
And what's the ratio of market rate to low income?
We have not figured any of that out yet. We're at the very preliminary stages of this development. We're kind of just getting it queued up to even think about those things, if you will.
Amy, you have a question?
Yes, hi. Can you guys hear me okay?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Hi, I was just, maybe I might have missed it. Did you, I know you're just in the beginning stages, but do you have kind of a ballpark of how many units you're kind of hoping for? And, you know, could you extrapolate from that maybe how many folks that would end up housing?
Unfortunately, we really don't at this point. We have kind of gone through a couple of preliminary processes and had to rethink things. And I guess that's really where we're at today is getting the zoning set. That's kind of, we need to trying to one step at a time. And right now, really our focus is getting that zoning nailed down. We have not really made it to the point of knowing how many units, what that AMI mix looks like. But we will absolutely keep you all in the loop when we start to get those pieces laid in.
Please do.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
Please come back and talk to us again when you have that data, because I know that's important to me and it's important to a lot of my board members.
Absolutely.
And
There's also, I know you're thinking about this, but one of the hugest things that's going to be a question from the community for sure will be parking. And I think I even said in the chat already, traffic, you know, those will be big things. I know you're already on it, but that's definitely going to be information that the community will find valuable. But yeah, glad to hear I'm glad to hear that there's going to be some housing going in that area. It seems like a good area for it.
And maybe, yeah, definitely understand the concerns about traffic and parking. And there's a couple of things that will be done. I did see in the chat from Colette, as part of this process. And when we reach that point, there is definitely going to be a traffic impact study as part of this process, as required by the city of Denver. In addition to that, new zoning codes within the city of Denver allow for a reduction in parking because of affordable housing typically generates less of a parking need than market rate housing. So that coupled with the adjacency to the transit station, hopefully will reduce, or you would see less trips related to affordable housing as opposed to affordable housing, or excuse me, market rate housing.
Okay, cool.
Maria,
Thank you.
yeah, sorry, Amy, didn't mean to cut you off. Maria, you have your hand up?
Yes, I do. Thank you. And thank you for presenting tonight, even though you're in the preliminary stages. My question is about open space. And I'm wondering what the acreage of the site is. How much of that acreage will be green space? What type of green space? And whether it will be open to the community, whether it will be a courtyard plan nested within the community, questions like that.
Sure, that's a good question, Maria. And it's around 3.67 acres as I remember. I have a lot of numbers floating around in my head. So Anna, if I'm wrong, please let me know. But yeah, as far as the open space, one of the primary drivers in the site planning process will be to create open space within the site that's not just accessible for residents, but it's going to be accessible to the community, because it's a really important conduit to the transit station, but also we know that families in the area are in need of that open space for recreational amenities and quality of life. So that is a major focus. You know, City of Denver zoning code requires a 10% dedication of the entire site for open space. And we have yet to arrive at a number, but at a minimum, we will be required by the city to provide that 10%. And kind of based on the Urban Land Conservancy's mission and goals, this is a primary component of what they do and what they want to do out there. And it's not just an open space for residents in the area, but the overall community.
Are you a little further along with your project at 38th and Holly as an example of open space? And if so, can you tell us what you've done there, open space wise?
Trying to think of, I apologize, I'm not personally involved with that one, so I have to think about what we've got going on over there.
And we can do some digging and get back to you for sure. And I'm in the same place. I'm not sure what's going on over there.
That's a Del West, actually, development on 38th and Holly. I think it's a different.
Correct, Shane. That's my understanding too.
I don't think they're the same developers, Maria. One's the Urban Land. I always screw up, but you know what your name is.
Urban Land Conservancy.
That's not your project.
No, ma'am.
38th and okay, well, that was not a good question then. I apologize.
Oh, no need.
That's I think Jackie, you have your hand up too.
Yeah, my only thing I would just add in here is is Aaron still your president and CEO still?
Aaron?
Yes.
Aaron Mirapol.
Oh my gosh. Can I just tell y'all that Aaron and I worked together years ago when he was coming into this stuff, and I love the in my opinion, the Urban Land Conservancy is an incredibly authentic and sincere organization for what they're trying to accomplish. And Maria's questions hit right on, I think, exactly what our concerns are with any developer. But I just honestly have to tell you, if you guys have stayed along where an Aaron has not changed and become something evil in the last 10 years, which I can't imagine, is that I think you guys would be probably doing a real good job here. Say hi to him for me. We're birthday buddies. Yeah.
He was going to join, but had a family conflict. So he wanted me to say hi to folks. And as you know, Jackie, he has some deep roots in the community. So
Wonderful
Um,
soul. Yes.
Shane, can I jump in? I tried to raise my hand, but I'm the meeting host, so I can't
Oh,
actually do
yeah,
that.
no. Lana, you can jump in anytime.
Two things. One, piggybacking on something Nam just commented that about being a great community partner over at the Johnston and Wales campus too. So thank you guys. So if there's some synergies here, something going on in the east side of neighborhood and the west side of neighborhood with this crew. And I also wanted to thank you guys. I know there's probably more questions than answers right now. I know this is like a little earlier for you to be presenting, but I wanted to comment that we invited them here to present today because we saw the rezoning notice come through and we just wanted to make sure everybody knew what is coming down the pipe in that location. So thank you guys.
Yeah, no, thank you for having us, for sure.
Yeah, and I want to thank you too, because you got back to us really quick, which isn't always the case. So I appreciate it too.
Yeah, no problem. And just from a personal level, you know, I went to Stedman, Smiley and East. So the ability to work in the neighborhood I grew up in and contribute and give back is rewarding from a professional side. So thank you for the opportunity.
No problem. Maria, do you still have your hand up? You still have another question, or do you just
No,
not?
I thought I'd taken it down. I'll take it down. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you, Will. And I forgot who the other speaker was.
Anna.
Anna, sorry.
Oh,
Thank you for presenting. I appreciate you getting on here in such short notice. And please come back when you do have more of that. I'd love to hear from you guys again.
Happy to, and thank you all for inviting us.
Oh, and you know what? I just put their website, their webpage on our thing, so people should look that up. Yeah, it's really cool to read about them.
Thank you. Next, we're going to go to the creating of the East Colfax International District, and Monica Martinez is going to be presenting. Monica, you have the floor.
Hi there, everybody. Thanks for having me. My name is Monica Martinez, and I'm the Executive Director of the FACS Partnership. And I have a slideshow too, and I hope I can share without much complication. Let's see here. These things are always, okay, here we go. So yeah, I'm the Executive Director of the FACS Partnership. I see Jim Grove on the call. Nice to see you, Jim. So the FACS Partnership has been around since 2004. We've had different iterations in our history. I've been with the organization now for, yikes, I think 6 years. And our mission is to strengthen and support the residents and businesses along East Colfax while promoting equity and advocating for community serving development. One of our big partners is ULC, actually. Oops, okay, I went too far. Give me a second here. Oh, here we are. Okay, our team has grown substantially in the last few years. As you can see, we have 8 languages in-house. We have a business support office that's helping the businesses along East Colfax. In the last 2 years, it was a lot of helping businesses access PPP and city and state grants. We have a residential support office that's all about connecting residents to rental and utility assistance. And really all of that work is around the philosophy that we have to strengthen and support who's in the community now so that they can stay and thrive when that private investment comes. And we feel fairly certain private investment is going to come to the East Colfax corridor because of, you know, the bus rapid transit, the East Colfax neighborhood, and the East Colfax corridor is sort of one of the last bastions of affordability in the city. So we feel like there's really strong gentrification pressures. And so what we try to do is support who's there now. We also have an equitable development office, and we've partnered with ULC and raised dollars to invest in land acquisition on the corridor. ULC purchased a property in Aurora, the 10660 East Colfax, the former Citywide Bank building, and we're actively looking to acquire a property on the Denver side of the corridor. And let me just say something about our boundaries. So I'm here talking to you guys, Northeast Park Hill. And that's because our work really spans Colfax from Colorado to Yosemite. We kind of don't work in the Mayfair bid because they're taken care of. But for example, that Colorado to Eudora, we really consider that an area that we focus on. We support the businesses there. So that's you all on the north side of Colfax. And then Monaco to Yosemite is really our sweet spot. We help all those businesses on that section of the corridor. And then our resident work actually kind of spans the whole northeast corridor. And what I'm here to talk to you all about is this major initiative that we just launched with city support. And it's to designate East Colfax between Monaco and Yosemite an international district. This was a major outcome of the East Area Plan that I'm sure you all were involved with. That was a 3-year planning process, and a major recommendation of that was to designate East Colfax from Monaco to Yosemite an international district. The concept is you brand it and claim it for who's here now, celebrate its diversity, and then really help it become a destination for that metro area so that it becomes an exciting place for people to come and visit and to come, shop for their, injera bread, because maybe they're going to dabble with making Ethiopian food at home, or maybe, they want to come and get some exotic spices from friendly Asian market. So the idea is that we have begun convening the community in the East Colfax corridor between Monaco and Yosemite, and we've started it slowly with the businesses. So we've already had 2 breakfasts with our businesses. We had one yesterday. Wow, time flies. Officer Murray was there. He and me and everyone else ate great breakfast from Siete Leguas. And we're beginning to work with our businesses to create a mission statement for this international district and then begin to define what it could look like. And we're talking about branding and marketing and shared vision. If you guys have traveled around the United States, you've probably come across districts like this. And we've studied a couple examples. Little Tokyo in Los Angeles. It's been around for a long time, 1885, but it's 5 city blocks in a portion of Los Angeles that is where you can go and celebrate the Japanese culture. The architecture reflects the brand. There's food, events. There's a district called South Grand in St. Louis, which is very similar to East Colfax. It's a long sort of commercial corridor with a lot of different international communities. And so they've created this brand and this destination. And then a more recent example is Soul City Corridor. It's in the Austin neighborhood in Chicago. And they're beginning to create this brand of it being an African-American shopping district and really a place where they're celebrating Black culture and arts. And we kind of think East Colfax could become that same thing. And so once again, the idea is if you claim it for who's there now and then begin to develop this brand, the idea is future people that move in or future businesses get absorbed into that existing culture and celebrate it, reflect it, rather than displacing it. And we want to help our businesses get more customers and become more, to get more foot traffic, and then address issues of, beautification and maybe create more walking traffic on the corridor. So here's an example. Here's our map. So it's really that Colfax corridor. So for you all, the South Park Hill neighborhood, it's really that Monaco to Yosemite section. And we're just launching this month our engagement process. So you can go to our social media, our Facebook page. We're also in the month of June going to be doing sort of a community engagement process around mapping the community treasures. We're going to kind of roll out a map where people can kind of, highlight things that they want to have preserved or celebrated. We're going to seek a letter of support from the Park Hill Neighborhood Association. So Lana, I'll be in touch. Let me just say, the city of Denver is funding this initiative. And so, as you guys know, city government, they want to, document everything. So the letter of support would be great to get. And we're also doing a survey right now. So if you want to get your little, phone out, you can take a picture of this QR code. We're taking a survey to kind of, one, gauge people's interest, figure out the best way to engage folks. And, we now have a website. So check out, sorry, my loud clock is dinging. We have a website where you can kind of learn more about this initiative and get engaged. And I see there's some questions, but it's hard to see in the chat while I have sharing my screen. So my last part of my spiel is, so how long is this going to take and where are we going? Well, this is the first year. and obviously the engagement and the creation of a mission and sharing of values is the first step. But obviously, to really make this real, we're going to have to go and get, funding. We're going to need to get funding for those, those painting the light posts or selecting a logo or flags on the, on the street signs. Ideally, we would help with, facade improvements to reflect this brand. So we see this will be a multi-year effort, and this is the first stage of it. And you guys are part of the first folks we're reaching out to. Okay, I'll stop sharing my screen. And should I answer the questions from the chat?
Or
Or how do you?
I think mine is in there. It's Colette, and it probably, maybe has very little to do with what you guys are trying to do, which I think is amazing, because I live just a block off of Colfax myself. But I think one of the things that troubles, my neighbors here, and when you talk about, Colfax becoming a destination, is that we have so many marijuana stores on East Colfax. And it seems like every time something comes up, they want to be a marijuana store. So, I mean, from between where, let's just even say Monaco, and between Monaco and Yosemite, I think there's 6 or 7. So I just feel like that, when you're talking about beautification of Colfax, not that I'm against marijuana stores, but there's like one every other block. So it kind of, to me, it feels like Colfax is becoming a place to go to get marijuana. And that's, unfortunate.
Yeah, I think the idea is that we're celebrating businesses that sort of add to the texture of the community. And I think that's those, international districts or international restaurants and businesses. There's a big community of sort of African-American beauty salons, barbershops, hair salons, hair braiding. Those really reflect, I think, what we're trying to celebrate here. Tiger Kim's is moving into the old Weisco shop. Leslie, you're always on top of things. That's a new development, a new sort of, that'll be a new retail site at that location. And I do think, maybe Colette, to your point, I think Colfax is starting to get a lot of interest, generating a lot of interest. And so what we're fearing is that if this brand becomes really successful, our business retail spaces rents could increase and displace those businesses. And so that is the conundrum we're dealing with. And so that's why it's so important for us to be supporting our businesses currently. And that's what the Fax is doing with with sort of technical assistance, so that then they can leverage greater sales when this brand is rolled out.
Okay, I just wanted to throw that out there because I know it's been really disappointing for just the people in my district that anytime anything comes up on Colfax, it's a pot store.
Well, I'll just point out Tiger Kim's is not a pot store, right?
All right, that's good. That's good.
I have a question. You were asking your thing about a letter of support. Have you done anything to reach out to the neighbors in Park Hill? Because usually before we do that, we like to see what the neighbors have said about this. So, and when do you want this letter of support?
I flag that. I think that's something that would evolve over the summer. But
okay. So you don't want it right away.
No, I mean, in an ideal world, it would be in my inbox by tomorrow morning. But no, I think the idea is the city is really wanting us to document our community engagement effort. And so that'll be a forthcoming request. But really, this is an effort that will be driven by the community members, businesses and residents alike.
Because I would just say that as a board, we like to hear what the neighbors say before we vote to approve anything. That's just a
good
standard
policy.
That's one of standard policy of ours, pretty much. So
I think, a potential next step of engaging you all is we could come back in June when we roll out that sort of treasure mapping process, and we can walk you through how, we'd love for residents to engage in this mapping. And I think that would be a nice time following that process to get that letter of support after we've kind of engaged you all, right? There's a question about traffic. yeah, this is not a redevelopment. So we're not required to do a traffic study or anything. So I can't really opine on traffic. This is more of a marketing, community engagement, visioning effort. I think, Ken, your comment about, businesses, I think that's right, spot on in a way. I mean, the last couple of years have been really, really challenging for small businesses. And that's why we've worked so hard to support them. And that, I think this brand kind of is addressing that as well. How do we help these businesses that are community serving and reflect this value that we enjoy? How do we help them stay successful? A bid aspect, let me be honest. I think this is a fair question, Nam. The fax is not trying to become a bid. I do think in 10 years that could, or some future point that may make sense. But a bid can only happen if the businesses are at a place of economic strength. And so we are no way trying to use this to push, a bid. A bid happens once you have achieved a level of success and stability. And so that is first and foremost what we're focusing on.
I think that's all the questions. I don't see any more. Lana, do you see any? Am I missing anyone? All right. Well, thank you, Monica. We appreciate your presentation.
Sorry, and let me just plug one more time the QR code, and I'm going to put the thing in the chat of the little survey we have. We're just really trying to engage people, so it shouldn't take too long for you to just go into this little Survey Monkey and let us know. Tell me how I'm doing.
Okay. All right. I think we're going to move on then. Next, I think we're done with the schedule items. We have open floor for community items. So the floor is open to anyone that wants to bring up an item.
I do.
Go ahead, Maria.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about our Block Workers Committee. We've got a couple of projects that we focused on. One is that we have arranged to have a Greater Park Hill table at City Park Day / Ice Cream Social on June 3rd. And Brenda is going to be spearheading that for us and coordinating volunteers. So first of all, let me tell you what the schedule is, and then I'm going to ask if anybody wants to volunteer to help with part of this. The tables and chairs are there at the City Park Pavilion. So the setup will start at 4. There's refreshments for the volunteers at 5 o'clock. At 6, the ice cream is served until it's gone. And 6:30, the Denver Municipal Band will play until 7:45. And then takedown is 8 to 8:30. So it's a pretty simple event. Lana's going to help with some things that we can populate our booth with. I'll have some information there about the Adopt a Flower Bed program and maybe a video. I think the Garden Walk Committee is going to participate in the table as well. So I guess my question of this group is there anybody who wants to raise their hand to help with the booth?
Mari, I will come there for a little bit. And
got that, Brenda?
Oh.
All right.
What day is it again?
Was that Kevin?
Yeah, what day is it?
It's June 3. It's a Friday.
And what time is set up?
Setup is 4 p.m.
I'll do setup.
Did you hear that, Brenda? Great. All right. Anybody else?
Hey, Brenda, this is Jackie. I'm already there. Patty Cordova and I with City Park Alliance, you know, y'all, I was on that for 10 years. So I am helping them with the overall, but I will be there the whole time. So, you know, use me for what, use me. I'm yours.
I'll be there too, Maria, to do something. This Shanta.
All right, Shanta, and I'll try to be there. I got a couple things going on, but I'll see if I can be there. Thank you all so much. The other thing that our committee is doing is that we're working to explore outreach ideas to Northeast Park Hills. So hopefully we'll have some reports in the future about that.
Yeah, I spoke with, this is Shanta, Maria, just to chime in on that. I spoke with DJ Katona and as well as Brother Jeff, and we're trying to look at getting a table for the Safe Summer Festival this year up in the Holly.
Oh, excellent, excellent. That would be a great Greater Park Hill table.
Mm-hmm.
Great. When is it?
Yeah, so there'll be more information on that. It's usually in July, I believe it is, but they haven't started planning it yet. So I'll just, you know, keep talking with them about that, and I'll report back when I have more information.
Thank you, thank you. I also wanted to mention that our Adopt a Flower Bed program for 2022 is off to a great start. We had a tour of the greenhouse in April that was a lot of fun for the volunteers. We've got 32 volunteers and they're still coming in. We've had several notices in the Greater Park Hill News that have yielded some results. So we're excited about that. And if anybody wants to join us in the park, we're pulling weeds, pruning roses, pruning lilacs. Make sure you walk through the lilac grove this spring because it got a major pruning from our volunteers last summer and it's gonna really pop. So take a stroll in the lilac grove and enjoy the benefits of the work of the Adopt a Flower Bed team. That's in conjunction with City Park Alliance and City Park Friends and Neighbors.
Question about the lilac grove. Is it a little early right now, or it's like probably just about time for that? Yeah.
I was there last Saturday. The lilacs were starting to bloom. I think I haven't been there this week. It might be a pretty good place for Mother's Day.
Yeah, I asked because mine's blooming this week, so I'm imagining that those probably are as well. Yes.
Well, you'll.
I'm shaking his head. Yes.
I can't guarantee because I haven't been in there since Saturday, but walk through several times because it's fabulous, and it, as I say, it should really pop this year. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, anyone else?
Shane, it's Leslie Torogowski. I don't know if this is an appropriate question for now or for the board meeting, but when you talked about your introduction, you talked about Kenich coming to talk about CBAs. Is this the time where you want me to ask questions about that or later in the board only section?
That's a good question. You know what, we could do that now and then we'll just do the board business there. Let me kick it off a little bit there. First, what the questions we're looking for, as me and Lana's idea, are to actually send some questions to Robin so that we want addressed. So she can come in there knowing, you know, not spending time everyone asking same questions. And that doesn't mean we're not going to have questions there, because questions are, but there's some basic questions like successor, what happens to successor LLCs and stuff like that, that I know nothing about on that. So
additionally, Shane, questions that we can also make sure SOS and Westside and whoever else is participating can have in advance, just so everybody kind of knows what we're going to be talking about. And also if we're going to be talking about things outside of CBA, that we want to let them know that as well.
Right. And I guess as a new board member, and I am very new, I just got elected in October, I don't know what Kenich has presented so far about the CBA with Park Hill Golf Course. but it's my understanding that she's been working on that CBA both directly and indirectly for almost 2 years. So I guess my concern is that I don't want to turn to her as a neutral source of information. And while I appreciate that Westside will be there and SOS will be there to maybe balance out, I wonder if there might be room in this budget to talk to a lawyer who might be more neutral and who hasn't been directly involved with these negotiations to answer our questions.
Well, do you have a lawyer in mind? I'm always open for
Okay.
different things. I was unaware that Robin had been doing what you're telling me, so.
Well, and I don't have proof of that, but it is my understanding that that has been the case. So perhaps we should ask her in advance to what degree she has been involved already. And then yes, it is my understanding that there are lawyers who specialize in this, and perhaps we should ask again, someone who has not been involved already with Westside or any of the community who is in the community benefits agreement.
I don't disagree with you on that, Leslie. But I guess maybe I should give you a little background of where me and Lana came from. We actually tried to go to the city first. And the city basically said, well, they're not party of the agreement, so they're not going to come and talk to us.
Right.
So
That's right.
And I understand that they're not party of it, but we were just looking at, what I'm looking for is just some basic knowledge of what these things are. I'm really not looking to take a side on this. I just want to know what a CBA is and how enforceable it is, and whether it goes to successors. If I own something and then decide to sell it to another LLC, is that agreement null and void? Because in a lot of contract law, that would null and void it.
Shane, those are all very valid questions. My only thing is that I don't know that Robin is neutral at this point to answer them. And so we can take this talk offline or later at the board meeting to dig deeper into someone who will answer those very basic, explain it to me like I'm 5.
Yeah, and
question.
maybe you should just email me if you know somebody, or anyone on the board knows somebody that would meet those criteria, because I'm really not trying to shield for, speak up for anyone's side. I just want some basic understanding of what community benefit agreements are.
I think
we went to
very valid question. That's a very valid question. And if the city won't answer you, and if Robin may or may not be neutral, then we need to go to someone else. And so I'm happy to email you ideas about who that might be, but I'll be quiet because it sounds like a lot of people want to talk right now.
I was just going to comment that we started with CPD and Nest, because they actually produce like a little guide to CBAs and good neighbor agreements and whatever. So we started with them, thinking they offered some advice on this. Maybe they can send someone. And yeah, as Shane mentioned, they basically directed us to Councilwoman Kanish, and she said that she could simply give us an overview of like how the process works. Because she's worked on some in the past and whatever. So the ask so far was just, we just want a rundown of like, what is this? How does it work? What does the process look like? So that's kind of as far as we've gone. And we haven't even given any specifics or questions in terms of the Park Hill Golf Course. But again, like Shane said, if there's someone better suited to give just an overview, figured like it's going to get into the weeds no matter what. And that's why we have like all of the sort of parties represented, because there's going to be disagreement for sure about what it does and doesn't do. But we just wanted to start with an overview, so everybody's at least working from like this sort of the same starting premise about the process.
Certainly. And Lana, thank you very much for making that attempt. And so maybe what we do, if you've already reached out to Kanish, that we ask her before she gives her opinion to be very upfront about what work she's done already, not just on Park Hill Golf Course, but on the Stadium District Master Plan or other CBAs around town, just so that when she gives us her information or her point of view, that we know what work she's done already, and that we're armed with the understanding that she's already done a lot of work on behalf of different developments to different degrees.
That's a fair question. Transparency is always the best policy, I think. So, I mean, what you're asking is just transparency in what she's worked on. I don't have a problem with that. Jackie, you have a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think Leslie, those are really good points. I know,
Sorry.
that I know
Sorry,
Robin,
Norm.
I know that Robin tries to be as fair as possible on stuff, but I think Leslie, that's absolutely fair. Would it be helpful, excuse me, as I cough, to get someone who isn't necessarily a state attorney? The reason I'm thinking is my kiddo works for the Attorney General's office, and I could at least throw out to them, ask them if they have somebody that would be, because that's like, sometimes if you go to something totally separate, I think when we stay within the city, we always run the risk a little bit. I think of what Leslie's alluding to is that they would have a personal thing. It might be helpful just to have somebody who's going to give you legal things, or here's exactly what it is. I think that's not a bad idea. So I'll reach out and see if they have a suggestion. Does that sound okay?
Sure.
But
Even
Jackie,
Sure,
that
just-
sounds great. Or even to ask Kaniche herself to give us names of lawyers who've worked on successful CPAs outside of the city and county of Denver, I think is a really reasonable ask. And in theory, if she's worked on CBAs before, she should know some, because as far as I know, there's been no CBA that's passed through the city and county of Denver officially yet. So she's basing this on out of state or out of our community successes, which might be very successful, but we need to know who those are, who those players are, and what's worked and what has not worked.
That sounds fair.
Yeah, Shane.
Nom,
Yeah, I'll just.
Nom has
let
been
you know what I
waiting.
find
I'm
out.
sorry. I actually called on him and then cut him off.
Oh, that's okay.
But no, and then I'll come back to you, Jack.
Thanks, Shane. I'll keep it brief. I'll just say, I guess I have a couple questions and a couple of comments. In terms of a question, I guess it's still a little unclear to me. I think, Lana, what you said helped a little, but I wasn't clear. Are we asking for a CBA 101 debriefing? Are we asking for a Q&A around this specific issue with all the interested parties? Are we talking about a public community gathering, or are we talking about something like that's an internal private board meeting? I have a lot of questions about what's exactly being proposed. I certainly am fully in support of any sort of broader understanding of specific questions that we might have as a board before we make any sort of decision or support or not about a particular topic. So I have no problems with a discussion or a fact-finding mission. I guess I'm just a little unclear about the specific meeting that is being discussed. That being said, I will say, as I said in email previously, Councilwoman Kaniche gave an exact same presentation about a year and a half ago to the Northeast Park Hill Coalition, basically a CBA 101, here's what a CBA is. So I think she's fully able. I'm happy to have a different party. I think she was pretty upfront about her at the time, what's the, disclosures. I think one of the examples, to Leslie's point, that she was talking about, that I believe she was involved in, and is actually something that was signed in the city as a CBA. It's just that the development never actually happened, or at least has not happened yet. So the details never kicked in, but there is at least one signed CBA in the city. I think maybe two now with the old the new project, the other West Side project on the west side of town.
Loretto Heights.
Yeah, I don't know if that one is official, but I know that there was at least one. She was involved with it. And again, the development stalled out. But again, she was very upfront about those things. So if, she's if we're talking again, kind of her and a bunch of other people, and we're having a sort of broader discussion, or, again, I'd like to be clear on that, but I certainly support, what I heard Lana say her original idea was.
Well, Lana's correct, Nom. That was what our idea is. We're just trying to get right now an understanding of what a CBA is. And I mean, we reached out originally to the city thinking that we could get somebody from there and they didn't,
No,
they basically
they
sent
won't
us
be a
to,
part of it. No.
Yeah,
they-
and sorry,
they
thank you,
officially
Shane.
won't
If
be
I could
part of
just,
it.
that was a reminder of my third or whatever comment, which was, I think to what Jackie said, I think the idea, because again, I'm no lawyer, but as I understand it, CBAs are agreements between private parties. So they're not a public process at all. And so I wouldn't expect that either the state or the city attorneys would have any real insight into the process because it doesn't involve them and they would never be a party to the agreement. So I think a private lawyer, a nonprofit lawyer, some sort of development lawyer, real estate lawyer, those would be the kind of people that if we're looking for an independent, perspective from, that we'd want to involve.
Yes, Nam. Yes, I agree. And
I
I
don't
think, I
disagree.
think it would have to be someone who the Park Hill RNO hired for opinions, and specifically people who haven't been working on the CBAs in Denver. The one CBA that I personally have worked on was the Stadium District Master Plan. And yes, the Metropolitan Football Stadium District agreed to enter into CBA, but the developer disappeared. So there was no CBA. Now, should a new Broncos owner come in, and it sounds like there will in June, then we would go into CBA with them because the Metropolitan Football Stadium District agreed to be in CBA, but there was no CBA that was decided. And so again, my hope and my suggestion, and we can work on this offline, is that we hire, at least for a few hours, a neutral lawyer or attorney who's worked on these before to be honest with us and not have the lens of having worked on whether it's Stadium District or Loretto Heights or Park Hill, but give us a more neutral, explain it to me like I'm 5. Explain a CBA 101 with no conflicts, I guess would be my hope. But that's not a small budget ask. These people ask $200-300 an hour.
yeah. Let me go to Brenda first and then, no, I see what you said in the comments. Go ahead, Brenda.
Hello, just so then briefly, kind of based on what everybody said and based on kind of what we heard last time, I would suggest then if we're interested in really just understanding in theory how a community benefits agreement works, i.e. 101, just the facts, Jack, that we don't include parties from West Side or SOS because that turns into a very different conversation. And so if we are, and this maybe it's premature for us to be discussing this because this assumes that this conservation easement is something else. So, but if everybody else agrees that we should do this, then I would strongly suggest we keep this conversation very, very narrow and just in theory, this is what it is and has nothing to do with any specific piece of land, therefore not have any representatives from Westside or anything like that participating.
Thank you, Brenda. I saw, Amanda, where you put a link in there of folks that aren't affiliated with the city. So we'll look into that. Thank you, Amanda. Does anyone else have anything else to mention on this?
No, I just wanted to point out that I believe what Amanda posted, I just clicked on it, is a product of the city and county of Denver.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, it's like a real basic
However,
FAQ.
however, on the far right under resources, there are 2 organizations listed, and full disclosure, I don't know anything about either of them, but they are not associated with the city. And there's even a little disclaimer on there that says like the city did not create those resources, but they do appear to be folks who are credible and experienced in that space. And so they may be able to connect you with other folks who are really, really not affiliated with the city, if that's at all helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Okay, I maybe we will, me and Lana will get together and talk heads and send out some emails to everyone about how we want to proceed.
Yeah, I'm
Lana, do you
wondering
have-
if, I guess I'm just wondering if others feel like it is maybe a premature conversation. I think we had yet to sort of figure out who's involved in the community group that's working sort of towards this. And
Yeah, I don't think we.
I don't know if it's like, if we're getting into the weeds this early, is it all just speculation? And is that the best use of our time? I don't know. I hadn't really thought of that. So thanks, Brenda, for sort of
Well,
putting that in our minds.
I don't think this is premature, and Nam, maybe you can weigh in, but it's my understanding that you guys are working towards a community benefit agreement that would be presented to the voters for the April ballot. Am I right or wrong?
I will say that discussions I'm aware of are ongoing, but I don't believe the time frame would be this year. And I also, I think to Brenda's point, there are a number of both public and non-public processes that have to happen before we get to that point. I mean, again, the easement has to be lifted. Zoning has to change. Those things have not, nothing has happened there. And I'm not aware of anything close to an even draft agreement being sort of negotiated. I think, there are interested parties trying to come together is kind of the level of stage I'm aware of.
Thank you, Nam. Thank you for explaining. I appreciate.
Sure.
Well, that leads to a couple more questions that I have. So I guess these are directed at Nam. I take it that what you're saying is that there is a group that's negotiating a community benefits agreement with Westside Investment Partners.
No. Let me be clear. I'm aware of people who are trying to form a coalition to start a process to do that. So again, not even a group, and certainly not in any sort of formal negotiations with anyone but themselves to see if there are common values and goals that they can all come to an agreement and in support of. There's certainly not any sort of negotiation process that I'm aware of or have been a part of.
Well, the community benefits agreement was going to be a agenda item for the Northeast Park Hill Coalition meeting in April, and it got taken off the agenda when the meeting was commenced. So
yeah,
it makes me ask questions like, is there a committee being formed? What's the process? How are they being selected?
I don't know, Amy and Shanta, I know also participate in the Northeast Park Hill Coalition meeting sometimes. I attend them as often as possible. My understanding is that their own board is not in agreement on this topic. So, certainly, I don't know if Harry, but anyways, so it's certainly not an activity being taken, or it's not anything being done by Northeast Park Hill Coalition. I mean, I think the reason it was pulled is because some board members are, members of this group, and I think have particular desires, and again, I can't speak for what Northeast Park Hill Coalition does or doesn't do with their agendas, but yes, I was at that same meeting expecting to hear some sort of update and got none, and I think Mr. Marchman spoke to some sort of ongoing discussions.
Well, that all sounds very back room, and I don't like it.
I think again, by definition, at least up until a certain point, CBAs are, if you go to some of those resources that Amanda referenced, there is a further link hop that you can take. And I think all or most known CBAs nationally, this website actually lists the legal documents, but again, that's once you get to the point where it's a community benefits agreement. And I think the negotiations, these are private party negotiations, right? Like it's not a public process. So
what's in the city website, just having glanced at it, talks about an agreement between a community organization and a developer. So if you handpick, if the developer handpicks the people in the community that they are negotiating a community benefit agreement with, it becomes a feedback loop.
Right.
So
absolutely.
That's what I'm worried about.
Absolutely. I hear your concerns. And again, I'm not pretending to speak for anyone. I'm just sharing what I have heard in discussions I've been aware of. Fundamentally though, I think there are public processes that have to happen regardless of whatever may or may not happen in terms of a CBA process, right? Rezoning, conservation easements, those things have to happen independent of whatever private parties may be able to come to an agreement around.
Okay,
Right.
I'm gonna go to.
Nom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. If anyone should share answering questions, it should be Kanich or Herndon's office. And I'm sorry because I feel like I put you in a spot of justifying things that is beyond your control.
Not at all. And Shane, sorry, I don't mean, if you'll just give me like 10 more seconds to kind of, again, just to be clear, I know some of the people who are trying to form this coalition. I have been aware of those discussions. I'm, in communication with those people. Again, there's no formal process that's happening yet. And I have been very clear from the beginning that I do not represent Greater Park Hill in any of these private conversations I'm having with people trying to come to an agreement amongst themselves about what values and things they do support and would work together to achieve.
Okay, thank you, Nom. I'm gonna take, Jackie, you've had your hand up for a while, so I'll let you. I want to say one thing first. Let me say one thing first. I think this conversation is just showing to me that we actually probably do need somebody to come in and talk about CBAs, because I certainly appreciate Brenda's comment of maybe this is too early, but I'm not so sure it really is. I think we might need a real understanding of
too early. I said it needed to be a very narrow conversation.
Oh, no. I agree with you. I think this conversation is actually also shown that we need to keep it very narrow on just what is a CBA is, because I have questions that I need to answer before I could even go anywhere on that, because I really don't know what they are. I do understand that the city's not a party of the agreement. I've understood that the whole time. I just thought that, they would have a little bit more help on getting us somebody besides Councilwoman. But anyway, Jackie, I'm going to give the floor to you.
No, I was just simply going to say,
this is the last comment on this one.
All I was simply going to say is no, thank you. And I think Lana and Shane, no, it is not too early would be my 2 cents. I think we should go forward and not, I think too often what happens is in our neighborhood stuff, we kind of come from behind and then we find ourselves scrambling. And I think I like this idea of getting ahead of something. So I will definitely speak with you and Lana. If I can help make a connection and make everybody comfortable, that would make me very happy. Because I don't like, you know what I mean? It's a good thing for us to understand. So that's it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. I just think we've got to the point where we're kind of repeating. So I think this is a good ending point on that. We will look into it, try to find a speaker that's independent. And Brenda, for you, we will keep it very narrow. We will keep it about CBAs only. Going on, I don't know if all of you saw Amy's email about the minutes, but I wasn't at the last board minute, so I'm going to have to be abstaining from it. But I think she makes a point that there's some errors in the minutes, and Bernadette is actually in England, I believe, right now. So Tracy is supposed to be taking notes and doing that. So
Shane, I think Ken's taking notes tonight. Is that right, Ken? Yeah,
I am, and I'm doing my very best to capture that last part of the conversation.
It is
Yes,
recorded, Ken.
I am
It
taking
is,
notes.
it is recorded, Ken, so.
I'm
we
going to
need
rely on
go
that
back
recording,
and
that's for
look
sure.
at it.
if
I did.
Shane-
Oh, I got the notes. Yes.
Great. Shane, if there are corrections on the minutes, Amy, I apologize, I didn't see your email. Could we defer approving the minutes till next month? And
That's
burn-
what I was gonna ask.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't at the meeting, so I feel a little, I can't make a motion on it. But if somebody, I mean, I think we should defer until next meeting and we'll approve that because I think Amy makes some of her points are pretty good about there's some corrections that need to be made. They're minor, but they should be made.
Okay, I move that we move the minutes approval to next month after Byrne makes those suggested corrections.
I'll second.
Okay, let's, all those in favor, raise your hands. We do have a quorum, right?
I'm sorry, who seconded that motion?
Jackie.
Thanks, Jackie.
And Lana, Heather's here with a yes. Heather, do you want to speak
Okay,
for yourself?
sorry. Ken and I probably are both madly trying to take notes right now, so hang on just a second. Okay, we have Amy, Kevin, Jackie, Maria. Maria's name down. Shanta, Brenda, Nam, Rick, Jim, Leslie. Oh, sorry, Heather, and obviously Tracy, who made the motion.
Yep. And Colette too. I'm a yes. I'm just.
Thanks, Colette.
I'm driving and I put up clapping hands instead of a thumbs up. So sorry.
Okay, and a thumbs up from Ken as well. Okay, so those are all ayes.
So I
With the
have to
exception of you,
abstain.
Shane, are you abstaining? Okay.
I have to abstain. I wasn't here last time.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 14 ayes, 1 abstention. I don't think there's any nays because that accounts for everyone that I have on my little list here.
Okay, we'll move to approving them to next step. Last thing on the item, and I'm gonna ask for a vote for this after I'm done. I went to the last meeting, they presented 1901 Eudora, the senior housing, they presented a thing. I went to the meeting that they flyered, the neighborhood there. I was the only person from the whole community that showed up. It was just me, so I don't think there was a lot of opposition to this. So if somebody would like to make a motion to pass the support and supporting, getting the supporting letter, I would do that. Jackie, you have a question? Your hands up.
I'd just make a motion that we do support this.
Okay, do I have a second?
I would second that. Absolutely. This is Ken.
All right, Ken. All right, all those in favor?
Okay, here we go again.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I appreciate everyone bearing with me when I call out every name because it's just the only way I can make sure I get them all. Okay, I have Amy, Shanta, Kevin, Maria, Brenda, Jackie, Shane, Nam, Rick, Jim, Tracy and Heather, Ken, I've got you.
You can add Colette to that too.
Thanks, Colette. Okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 14 ayes.
Are there any no's or nays?
Leslie, were you in favor?
I abstained because I had to leave the call for a few
Got
minutes
it.
and I don't know what we're voting on and I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Okay, thanks. I just wanted to confirm you were the only one that I didn't have.
Okay.
Okay, so once again, 14 ayes, 1 abstention, 0 nays to pass the letter of support for 1901 Eudora, which they
I
have
will,
so kindly already written for us.
I will, it's written and I will put my signature and email it to him tomorrow. Because that they didn't want to send it to anyone, they were gonna send it to him, so I'll just send it to them, so. I think that is it. Is there anyone else that has any meetings? Now, this should be brief, board business now. If it's community matter, we should have already addressed that. Kevin, your hands up, or do you have something?
No, sorry, I accidentally left it up.
Jackie, your hand's up too.
Oh, am I still up? Oh, you know what? It's okay. I do want to just let you know two things happening. This weekend, they're doing not this weekend. Yeah, 14th, 15th, next weekend. They're doing the first Asian and Pacific Islander cultural heritage thing at the zoo. And please come by and see it if you get a chance. Anybody who's would like to, it should be really, really cool. Anyway, that's helping. The other thing is to remind you that the Park Hill Art Festival is happening the same weekend as I think we're doing one of our alley cleanups. Okay.
All right, thank you, and thank you all for all your time. I know everyone's busy, and I really appreciate everyone's time here. I really do. So with that, I'm going to call the meeting and see you next month, and we'll be in touch about the CBA.
All right. Good night. Thanks, Shane. Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
Shane. Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone. Bye. Good night.
Night.
Good night.